God doesn't want a beat up bride. Well, you know, if the saints went through the tribulation, God doesn't care what their flesh looks like. You know, this teaching about God doesn't want a beat up bride is a fleshly type of thinking. It's a thinking like, oh, our flesh bodies are going to suffer. Well, we were appointed to suffer. God doesn't look at the flesh. He isn't a respecter of persons. He doesn't look on our outward man. He looks on our inward man. The word tribulation has to do with, the word tribulation means press, going through trouble, going through trials. If you really understood what the tribulation's about, it's to purify the bride. It's to make her white and clean. It's a press to press her into fine oil, and also to try her as gold is tried in the fire. It's for our purifying. You know, this type of thinking where the tribulation is for anything. I mean, it's trouble for, or it's destruction for the rest of the world, but for the saints, it's our purifying. It's for our benefit. A lot of people don't understand this. They look at the symbols and the things that are going on in Revelation, and their flesh minds automatically are like, I don't want to go through that. But the real revelation behind this mystery is God is getting His bride to where they need to be. It's just like Noah's boat. Noah's boat was only lifted up as the destruction fell on top of it and around it. The boat didn't fly up in the air and get away from the destruction. It took the destruction. It kept taking it and kept taking it. And it's a symbol of us going through the trials and tribulations. It isn't a symbol of us being raptured out of here and then coming back to the earth. That ain't how it works. All the way through the Old Testament, like Noah's boat, all the way through the history, Lot, the fire and brimstone fell all the way around him. Destruction fell, and he told the angel, well, let me go to this small town. Well, he went to the small town, but he was still afraid the destruction would hit him. So eventually he went to the mountain. But if he would have looked back from the mountain, he still would have died. Just like if Noah would have got out of the boat at any point, he would have drowned. It wasn't a rapture out of here, I'm protected forever thing. It was, it had to do with repentance. See, the boat rose as the destruction fell. It's just like in the book of Peter, when it says, wherein few 8 souls were saved by water. He said saved. The rest were destroyed by water. And the reason why he said saved is because the people of God, when this demonic destruction is falling, the people of God are repenting. As they keep repenting, they're going to stay above the destruction. But they have to endure it all the way to the end. The destruction will keep falling around them. They'll keep in that ark of repentance, that covenant with God. The covenant with God is repentance, staying in repentance, staying in repentance. And so they endure it to the end. So the floodwaters, the boat only rises because the floodwaters rise, not because it's escaping out of here. It's going to endure it. Just like in the time when God's wrath was poured out on Egypt, and the 10 plagues fell all the way around Goshen, on Egypt, but didn't hurt the children of Israel. Even when death passed over the door, their door was sealed and the death passed around them. Even when they went through the Red Sea, even when they went through the wilderness, and even into the promised land, God sealed them and protected them. But they went through it, just like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego went through the fire, but were protected. Just like Daniel was in the lion's den, but was protected. Just like in the book of Ezekiel, when the slayers went forth and slayed everybody who had not the seal of God on their forehead. The Spirit never pulled saints out of tribulation. It always took them through it. That's not the way of the Spirit. The Spirit purifies us and takes us through through tribulation, and tries us and purifies us. Noah, the wrath was poured out on the earth, and his boat took it and went through it, and he endured until the end. Lot was pulled out of Sodom and Gomorrah, and it had to do with repentance, because repentance means to turn away from something. If he would have turned back and looked, he wouldn't have been repenting. That's why his wife turned to a pillar of salt. So this doctrine about God doesn't want to beat up bride is an earthly type of thinking, because they're thinking about their flesh is being saved and how their flesh is going to look if they go through this physical ordeal in the tribulation. And they say God doesn't want to beat up bride. That isn't how God thinks at all. That's an earthly type of thinking. God looks at the spirit man. So if his bride go through the tribulations purify him, they're not going to be a beat up bride. They're going to be a perfected, white, dazzling, beautiful bride. God bless.